The Hyperion. Arguably Skyblock's most powerful weapon is crafted from four of the rarest and most difficult items to drop in the game. The drops in question are a Necron's Handle and three different scrolls, and they're only available from floor 7 and Master Mode 7 drops, or just by, coughing up about 2 billion coins. Either way, it's definitely an investment that does require a bit of consideration. So, I'm here to lay the facts out. Welcome to the best review on the Hyperion and its other Witherblades, but shut up, it would have been in the title. Alright, for starters, we need to talk about what makes the Witherblade truly powerful. The Wither Impact. This weapon is entirely reliant on its right-click ability, and you can only get Wither Impact after combining the three different scrolls, which each have their own contributions to the weapon. For those who don't know what Wither Impact is, let's break this down. The first scroll is the Wither Shield. Wither Shield reduces the damage you take and gives you absorption hearts, and refreshes every 5 seconds. And we'll go more in depth about this ability later. The second scroll is the Shadow Warp, and that's the teleport part of the Hyperion. And the last scroll is Implosion, which just amplifies the damage done by the right-click ability on the Hyperion. So, after combining all three scrolls onto the Wither Blade, they combine into the Wither Impact, which grants you amazing mobility, health absorption, and damage. Now that we've broken down and explained what Wither Impact is, let's talk about the Wither Blade variants. Now, you've probably noticed that I've been referring to the Hype as the Witherblade, and this is because the Hyperion is just a variant. See, there's actually four. We have the Hyperion, the Astraea, the Scylla, and the Valkyrie. And the weapons still have and are reliant on the Wither Impact, but they each have their own base stats that vary slightly from one another and can affect the overall use of your Wither Impact and the actual weapon itself. But let's talk about the Hyperion first. The special thing about the Hyperion is its massive intelligence buff. See, the Wither Impact costs 300 mana per use, and seeing how you can spam the Hyperion, the cost catches up to you pretty quickly. But there are ways around it. See, you can use the Ultimate Wise enchant on the Hyperion, which cuts the cost of Wither Impacts down from 300 mana to 150 mana. This is the most popular Ultimate enchant, and really the only one that ever gets used. The only other enchant you'd ever see is Chimera, but that's an entirely different rabbit hole for another day. Alongside the Hype's intelligence buff and Ultimate Wise, you would also want to wear 3 Force Necrotic Storm Armor and Wither Goggles with a Loving Storm's chestplate to get more intelligence and ability damage, giving your Hype even more flexibility. And another armor set to consider is Maxor's armor, but that's just trading intelligence for more effective health points and speed. You can also use a Sheep Pet, which gives you more mana, decreases the cost of the Hype, and grants you more ability damage. However, a 1 bill Bank and Golden Dragon pet will do more damage than the Sheep Pet can. To bring our focus back to the Hyperion, Wither Impact is quite a taxing ability, but with the Hype adding so much intel alongside the armor and even pet buffs, it becomes almost negligible. Another thing to note is that your counter level will definitely contribute to how you will use your Hyperion, so don't worry about that. The Hyperion is the most popular and most powerful choice of weapon in terms of dealing right-click damage. The next variant is the Astraea. The Astraea is special because it provides a massive base defense buff, rather than the intelligence that the Hyperion gives. With the defense buff while holding the weapon, it is clearly the obvious choice for tanks, and as a side note, it makes Master Mode RCM way easier if not possible. See, another thing to note about the Hyperion is that the Storm Armor that would pair with this weapon doesn't really have a great effective health, so using the Hype is a matter of killing everything before it kills you, especially in Master Mode. With the defense, it makes clearing way easier and allows you to contend in the rooms while taking hits from high-level mobs. This variant is my preferred choice for that reason, as tank is my favorite class and I love playing mage in M7. Up next is the Scylla, and arguably the saddest variant in my opinion. So remember when I said that I had more about the Wither Shield? Well, here it comes. The difference of the Scylla versus the other variants is that the Scylla has the most crit damage on the weapon. And while that may not mean anything to you right now, the Wither Shield is actually dependent on the amount of crit damage you have. See, the absorption hearts that the Wither Shield gives you is just 150% of your crit damage. So the more critical damage, the more Wither Shield you get. However, there's a little trick I'm about to show you. See, if you hold a weapon with more crit damage like the Terminator, you can actually do a swap that allows you to have term crit damage while using the Wither Shield. So you'll get the crit damage from the Terminator onto your, Wither Shield. So it's, it makes having a Scylla not really necessary. Irregardless, its crit damage allows for the most effective Wither Shield among the Wither Blades. And the final variant is the Valkyrie, which just has a higher amount of ferocity in its base stats. But ferocity only works with left click damage, not right click damage. So I'm not really entirely sure when you would want to use a Valkyrie in this game. I mean, if you just wanted to smack things repeatedly with, the highest DPS and you insisted on using a Witherblade, there you go. But if you wanted to do left click damage, I would use something like a Claymore. So the Valk just has the highest DPS in terms of left click between the other Witherblades. And if you wanted to say something about ferocity, a Fatal Tempo term would, still give you more ferocity at probably a cheaper cost. So, to wrap this review up for you, the Witherblade is powerful because of its Wither Impact, which allows you to clear and output damage simultaneously the most effectively in Skyblock. Not even the Terminator can clear dungeons as quickly as the Hyperion can. And the four variants are special in their own ways, and the Witherblade is actually interchangeable on the fly. It's just a matter of taking your current Witherblade and surrounding it with the craft materials you need for the other variants. The Witherblade can also become more powerful with the armor and pads you pair it with. Remember, it's just a component of your setup, and it's just as useful as everything else in your dungeon or outside a dungeon setup. The Hyperion does give a lot of base intel and has the strongest right click. The Astraea gives a lot of base defense. The Scylla has a lot more crit damage, which increases your Wither Shield's effectiveness, and the Valkyrie is capable of the most damage per second with its left click. So, if you haven't bought yourself a Witherblade yet, you definitely should. I've used my Witherblade in every instance of Skyblock since I got it, and honestly, this game is unplayable without it for me. I understand that the initial investment is quite heavy, but this weapon is truly worth every single last coin and more. So, if you like this type of review or had any questions, let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to adhere to any requests and respond to questions. I plan on making more reviews on about, every item in the game that I can. So if you want, check those out as I upload them. And with that, this review is officially over.